Wall Street just knocked on Wrexham's door, and what happens next could rewrite everything we thought we knew about this club's future. Alright Wrexham fans, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because we cover the Red Dragons like nobody else. Every match, every signing, every twist in this Hollywood fairy tale. 3 massive stories today, and trust me, you absolutely need to stick around for the last one. It's a game changer. We're talking about Wrexham AFC, the club that's taken English football by storm, and there's news that could shape the next decade at the racecourse. Let's get into it. Story 1. Wrexham 1-1 Preston. Okonkwo's heroics keep the Reds alive. Right, let's start with what happened on the pitch this weekend. Wrexham 1-1 Preston North End at the racecourse. Now, Preston are flying at the moment, proper form, and they came to Wrexham looking dangerous. The lads started brilliantly though. Kiefer Moore, who else, slots home early to put us 1-0 up. James McLean whips in a beauty of a cross. Moore's there, easy finish. Dream start. But here's the thing. The rest of the match was an absolute battle. Preston pushed and pushed, especially in the second half, and Wrexham were hanging on by their fingernails. And if it wasn't for Arthur Okonkwo, we'd be talking about a loss right now. Okonkwo was absolutely unreal. Save after save after save. 9 out of 10 performance. Proper heroics. The leader gave him top marks, and rightly so. He kept Preston out for 81 minutes before they finally broke through. Paul Valentin's shot gets past him 9 minutes from time, and that's your final score, 1-1. The defensive trio of Clearworth, Scar and Hyam worked their socks off, making blocks, throwing bodies on the line. George Dobson lost the ball in a dangerous area, but then made a crucial block to make up for it. That kind of grit kept us in the game. Look, it's not a bad result against a side like Preston, but you could sense the frustration. Nathan Broader didn't quite threaten enough up front, and when Josh Windass came on as a sub, he couldn't find the killer pass. Wrexham had chances to make it 2-0, but on another day, Preston could have nicked all 3 points. Phil Parkinson will take the point, but he'll know we need sharper finishing and better control if we're serious about pushing up that championship table. But that's not the only news coming out of the racecourse.
Here's one that's got people talking. Wrexham just received £18 million in public funding for the redevelopment of the Cop stand at the racecourse ground. 18 million quid from the Welsh Government and Wrexham County Borough Council. Now, some people are scratching their heads, asking, why are Reynolds and McElhenney, 2 Hollywood millionaires, getting taxpayer money? Fair question, right? But here's what Jack Sargent, the Welsh sports minister, said when he went on Politics Wales to defend the decision. He made it crystal clear. This isn't just about football. This is about regenerating Wrexham as a city. The Cop redevelopment is part of the Wrexham Gateway project, a massive plan to modernise the area, improve infrastructure, create jobs, and turn Wrexham into a destination that attracts visitors, boosts local businesses, and strengthens the economy for decades to come. Sargent said the upgraded stadium will allow Wrexham to host bigger sporting events, international fixtures, concerts, you name it. That means more tourists, more money flowing into hotels, restaurants, shops. The club itself agrees, saying this is about long-lasting benefits for the entire region, not just the football team. Now, the old Cop Terrace has been closed for over a decade because of safety concerns. Attempts to rebuild it have stalled time and time again because of funding gaps and planning nightmares. This £18 million finally gets it done. It restores a piece of the racecourse's history and raises capacity at the same time. But not everyone's convinced. Football finance expert Stefan Bosson called the grant unusual, saying it's rare for public funds to go to a club with wealthy private owners, especially when commercial backing might have been possible. Still, Welsh officials are standing firm. They say the community benefits justify every penny. And honestly, when you look at what Wrexham's rise has done for the town, the global attention, the Disney documentary, the regeneration, it's hard to argue there isn't a wider impact here. Whether you agree or not, one thing's certain. The racecourse is getting a serious upgrade, and Wrexham's future as a destination is looking brighter than ever. Now those were big, but what I'm about to tell you next could completely reshape Wrexham's season. This is massive.
All right, here we go. This is the one everyone's buzzing about. Wrexham AFC has just announced that Apollo Sports Capital, an affiliate of Apollo Global Management, one of the biggest investment firms in the world, is now a minority investor in the club. We're talking about a company with $908 billion in assets under management. Yeah, you heard that right. Billion with a B. This isn't just some local businessman putting money in. This is Wall Street backing Wrexham. And the implications? Enormous. Let's rewind for a second. When Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney bought Wrexham back in 2020, the dream was always clear. Take this historic Welsh club to the Premier League. Protect the heritage, reinforce community values, build a winning culture and grow the club's global profile. And fair play to them, they've delivered so far. 3 consecutive promotions. National League to League 2 to League 1 and now competing in the Championship. Unprecedented stuff. But here's the reality. Getting to the Premier League from the Championship is brutally expensive. You need infrastructure, you need players, you need a stadium that meets Premier League standards. And while Reynolds and McElhenney have resources, they're not oligarchs. They needed partners who could provide serious, long-term capital without demanding control. Enter Apollo Sports Capital. The announcement came through a joint statement from Reynolds and McElhenney, and it's worth paying attention to what they said. Growth like that takes world-class partners who share our vision and ambition, and Apollo absolutely does. We have known Al Tylist, the CEO of Apollo Sports Capital, for many years, and are thrilled to now have ASC join the Wrexham family. That relationship piece is crucial. They're not just taking money from anyone. They've known these people for years. Trust matters when you're handing over a stake in something as precious as Wrexham AFC. And here's the kicker. Reynolds and McElhenney remain the controlling owners, majority shareholders. This isn't a takeover. This is strategic investment to accelerate the journey to the Premier League while keeping the soul of the club intact. But Apollo isn't just buying into the football side, they're also providing financing for the STOC Kairas redevelopment, including that new cop stand we just talked about. So they're literally helping to rebuild the racecourse ground, which ties directly into the Welcome Gateway project and the city's wider regeneration. Lee Solomon, Apollo's partner who's leading this investment, said, "This is a multifaceted investment where Apollo Sports Capital can provide long-term, patient capital to help Wrexham reach its goals and to contribute to the ongoing revitalisation of the facilities and local economy." Patient capital. That's the phrase that should excite Wrexham fans. Apollo isn't looking for a quick flip or a fast profit. They're in this for the long haul, which aligns perfectly with Reynolds and McElhenney's approach. Now, let's talk about what this means practically. Wrexham CEO Michael Williamson said the investment represents confidence in the club's direction and commitment to our long-term vision. Translation: more money for transfers, better facilities, higher wages to attract championship quality players, and the infrastructure needed to compete at the top end of English football. And this isn't Apollo's first rodeo. They know sports, they know media. They understand the global brand that Wrexham is becoming thanks to the Welcome to Wrexham documentary, which has turned this Welsh club into a worldwide phenomenon. Here's what nobody's talking about yet. This investment comes just months after the Allen family office became a minority investor back in October 2024. So Wrexham is strategically bringing in multiple investors who bring different strengths. That's smart business. It diversifies risk and builds a network of powerful allies who can open doors globally. But let's address the elephant in the room. Some fans will worry about outside investment changing the club's identity. Is this the beginning of Wrexham losing its soul? Are we going down the Manchester City route where oil money washes away tradition? I don't think so. And here's why. First, Reynolds and McElhenney have controlling ownership. They call the shots. Second, everything they've done since 2020 has been about protecting Wrexham's heritage and strengthening the community. They didn't buy this club to flip it or turn it into a soulless franchise. They genuinely love Wrexham, the town, the people, the history. And finally, Apollo's investment is structured to support sustainable growth. This isn't reckless spending. It's calculated, strategic capital designed to help Wrexham compete without compromising what makes the club special. And finally, Wrexham supporters have the voice. This club is rooted in its community in a way very few modern football clubs are. If Reynolds and McElhenney ever strayed from that, the backlash would be instant and deafening. So what happens next? Well, the championship season is still open. Wrexham are competing at this level for the first time in decades, and it's tough. Results like that 1-1 draw with Preston show how fine the margins are. But with Apollo's backing, the club can now think bigger. Better players in January, long-term contracts for key performers, and infrastructure that makes the racecourse a fortress. And here's my hot take. I think Apollo's involvement makes promotion to the Premier League not just possible, but inevitable. Maybe not this season. Championship football is brutal, and Wrexham is still adjusting. But within the next 3 to 5 years, absolutely. Reynolds and McElhenney have built something extraordinary. They've taken a club that was languishing in non-league football and turned it into one of the most talked about teams in the world. Apollo's investment is the next chapter in that story. The chapter where Wrexham pulls from fairy tale to powerhouse. Is it risky? Sure. Anytime you bring in outside investment, there's risk. But the alternative, trying to reach the Premier League without sufficient capital, is even riskier. You end up stuck in the Championship, unable to compete, watching your best players leave because you can't afford to keep them. Wrexham supporters should be buzzing about this. Apollo Sports Capital isn't some faceless hedge fund looking to asset strip. They're patient, strategic, and aligned with Reynolds and McElhenney's vision. And most importantly, they believe in Wrexham. Wall Street just backed North Wales, and the Premier League better be ready. So there you have it, 3 massive stories. Okonkwo's heroics keeping Wrexham in the fight against Preston, £18 million in public funding rebuilding the Kop stand, and Apollo Sports Capital joining Reynolds and McElhenney to fuel Wrexham's rise to the Premier League. This is the most exciting time in Wrexham's modern history. Hollywood ownership, global attention, 3 consecutive promotions, and now Wall Street backing. The Red Dragons are building something special, and we're all witnessing it in real time. Here's what I think happens next. Wrexham stabilises in the Championship this season, strengthens in January with Apollo's backing, and within 3 years we're watching Premier League football at the racecourse. That's the trajectory. That's the dream. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you excited about Apollo's investments, or are you worried about outside influence? Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Come on, you Reds.